Robert Mueller's report leaves plenty of unanswered questions, but it also contains a lot of hard facts. 448 pages in all. It details 140 contacts between the Trump campaign and transition team and Russia and WikiLeaks. 30 of those contacts had not been reported before. 10 times the special counsel identified instances of possible obstruction, and there are still 14 open cases spun off from the Mueller investigation in the main. With us this evening here in New York, and we're overjoyed to have them, two of the best attorneys we have on retainer, former U.S. Attorney Joyce Vance, who spent 25 years as a federal prosecutor, and Jill Wine-Banks, former Assistant Watergate Special Counsel. Good evening and welcome to you both. And I guess for both of you, Joyce, you can go first. What has the clarity of the day after brought to you? What stands out to you now that we have a little distance on it?
You know, I think we all did that first read-through of the Mueller report to see what answers we could get.
I read slowly, so I'm still in the middle.
You and I both, right? I find on a second read-through in places, there is a lot of detail. There's a lot of depth. And I think that we should all be careful, make sure that we read, make sure we look at what the message Mueller, is sending us is, rather than try to rush to hasty conclusions about what this report means. We know some answers to big questions. We know that Mueller likely believes that there is a good obstruction case. We know that he declined to charge conspiracy, but says that that was because he didn't have sufficient proof. But beyond those bright line conclusions, there's a lot of detail here to absorb.
Jill Wine-Banks, same question.
I agree with, of course, what Joyce said, because she always says it so well. But I think the second time through, you get a lot more detail about what he was thinking. It's quite clear that he did conclude that there is an obstruction case, and the only reason he didn't bring it is because the Office of Legal Counsel said you can't indict the president, and he felt that you don't name him in a report if you can't indict him and let him defend himself. And that really stands in such stark contrast to what William Barr said at his press conference, that I put the press conference on a level with the Helsinki press conference that Trump had with Putin. It was really filled with lies. It was a disservice to the Department of Justice that both Joyce and I have been proud to serve and still believe very much is the way forward in a democracy. So I'm hoping that we can get it short enough to counter the first impression that Barr created. And that's the only reason I think he did that press conference, was to give a few hours for his people, for the Trump believers to hear. And it's very hard to change a first impression. And he said basically it's big nothing. And it isn't a big nothing. That report says, I don't know if you remember, but 2 years ago you asked me, did I think I could make an obstruction case? And I said,
memorialized in a commercial.
Yes. I've retired the dress I wore that day because it was so popular. But I really think that we now see that there is absolutely an obstruction case, and he was preserving the evidence now so that when the president isn't the president, an indictment could be brought against a non-sitting president.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.